Oliver,
Áno, počujem ťa.
tak už sme live, mám Kuba na telefóne a ideme vyskúšať, že či nám to celé dobre funguje. Well, hello, 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 and good evening. Oliver, welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. Good evening.
Hey, hi, everybody. So I will tell you the story of how incredibly painful it was to get it started. But first, let me ask you a couple of questions. So, where are you connecting from, guys? Let us know from which part of the world you're connecting. I can see some Bogota, some Paraguay, Germany, Colombia, Prague, Tunisia, California, Bratislava, another Germany. So let us know where you're connecting from. We're really curious to find out. And so, how have you been, Oliver?
Oh, well, so far it's been a better year than 2020, but let's see, it's only January. So
Right.
yeah, quite excited to be there. So looking forward.
Perfect. Any interesting plans for this year?
Oh, well, let's see. I hope there will be some interesting gamification projects going on all over the world, and I'm really curious about the next projects that the MINDWORX and MINDWORX Academy has in their sleeves. So yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll be more than happy to tell you more about those, but I guess it will be more about you and your projects today. Guys, so that you know why we're doing these small talks, right? Because first of all, you should do it at the beginning of a webinar. And second, we want to give your fellow BE and gamification enthusiasts a moment to get connected. I think we are now around 140 people watching the webinar. So let's give it another 2-3 minutes for everybody who's interested to be able to join. And well, I can tell you that we've been victims of one behavioral bias called status quo bias. And what is status quo bias about is that we're prone to not to make any change. And you know, the first webinar we ever did was roughly a year ago, and we used the platform Webinar Ninja. It wasn't too good, but we somehow managed. Ever since, we did quite a few of them, and we always thought we have to change it. It's not good enough, but we never did until yesterday, when around 2 p.m. we had a dry run, and we figured out that we couldn't get Oliver to have proper sound. So we spent, I think, 1 hour panicking. Oliver was switching from computer to computer, from mic to mic, and it didn't work. So we spent another couple of hours in the evening with my colleague Jacob and another colleague Alžbeta. Thanks, guys, for all the efforts. And we finally managed to do it through YouTube. I hope this is going to work. And yeah, so this was the story and the journey behind this webinar. So Oliver, we're, I think, about to start. Thanks a lot for making the time. So what will you be talking about in brief? Give us a teaser before I tell them who you actually are and why I love you so much, man.
My pleasure. All right, so I would like to share with you some of our insights that we have in building gamification solutions, especially in marketing and in communication. And I find out that in recent years, gamification has been there a lot. I have seen many solutions, and I think you guys may have stumbled upon some as well. And I want to show you that you can do many different things in gamification. And my ambition is to basically show you what are the principles that you might take away from gamification and use it elsewhere. And yeah, and with some luck, you would be encouraged and excited to try it on your own. So that's my humble wish, but let's see how it goes.
Well, guys, so that you know who Oliver actually is, when did we meet? I think it was some 3 years ago at some random conference, wasn't it?
Yeah, could be. Could be.
Yeah, it could be because ever since we've become like the conference buddies, I think there's like 5, 6, 7 conferences where we spoke together, and Oliver is always one of the best rated speakers of those conferences. And it's always, even though I've listened to his stuff over and over again, and I'm not saying it's always the same, definitely not. There's always something new, but it's so fun to watch. So Oliver, when did you start with gamification, and what was the first project you worked on?
Oh, it's very kind of you to say. So I came across gamification back in 2012 when the end was ending, the world was ending. And I have been studying adult education at the university, and especially in my country, that's a subject that doesn't have that kind of resume, I would say. So it was for me necessary to find something that make me stand out from the crowd, and I was eager to try a new innovative approach. And back then, the gamification was really the hot topic of the internet. And so I tried to figure out if it's viable to use it in the education field, which has been proven that it works very well. And after finishing my school, I was in a position that I have nothing to lose, basically. So I tried to apply for some internships, and since Slovakia, for those of you who might not know, is a really small country. So by a happy coincidence, I end up on the pitch meeting in Microsoft Slovakia, and tried to pitch my idea of how they can redesign one of their CSR platforms by using gamification techniques. And they love it really well. And that was my very, very first project. And in fact, that was the time when we need to pick up the name of the brand under which the project would be executed. So yeah, that's how the Luducrafts basically came on this world, and that was the very first project. Yeah.
Well, it's not too bad to actually have his first project working with Microsoft.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Ever since you've worked for a number of big companies, both in Central Europe, but also in Switzerland, in Canada, did I forget some countries where your projects were based?
I think we have some marks in Germany and in Finland, in Serbia. Lots of them are in Czech Republic. So yeah, we're trying to spread our legs all over the world. But yeah.
Well, enough of that, I guess. To sum it up, Oliver is a young and very talented person whom I've been working with for quite some time already, on several projects. They're helping us with many things, and what they're doing, I find it fascinating. They're applying the same knowledge basically that we're applying and we're using in our projects. The psychology, the underlying psychological and behavioral principles, but in a whole different setup, but very often to solve similar challenges as we're solving. So what we will talk about today, and the structure of today, will basically be that I will just give you a brief introduction into behavioral economics. Many of you are aware and are familiar with behavioral economics. By the way, let us know in the chat window how familiar you are with behavioral economics on a scale from 1 to 10, when 10 is a behavioral expert and 1 is someone who hasn't heard about the concept at all. So after that, I'll basically leave the floor to Oliver. He will guide us through some basic pillars of gamification, some basic underlying principles, and then he'll present 2 case studies, which I'm very much looking forward to. And then at the end, we'll wrap it up. We'll make some connections between gamification, behavioral economics, and then there will be a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please save them for the end. and then you'll post them in once again in the chat window, and we'll take them one by one. So very briefly, what is behavioral economics? For me, behavioral economics is a beautiful mix of psychology, economics, sociology, all kind of cognitive sciences, which concentrate on how people make decisions. And what I'm especially interested in, and what me and my company MINDWORX are most active in, are the fields of marketing, sales, and HR. You know, from the questions, how do I get people to click on this button and register, to questions of how do I make people to take up a new service, take up a new kind of insurance. The sectors we're mainly active is insurance, banking, telco. Why behavioral economics is, I guess, so powerful is that it doesn't require huge changes in your product or your branding. It is so very often about changing the context, because basically what research has found out is that up to 95% of purchase decisions happen subconsciously. So what does it mean? Well, it means that they must be influenced by something, but it is not the usual communication that we use. It is not the usual rational appeals like, here are my benefits, here is a discount. I mean, this works to some extent, but what's so much more important is what's happening, you know, underwater. I would say, you know, how our subconscious mind perceives the world around. How do we evaluate the prices? How do we evaluate the quality of the product or service? And it's far from being rational. You know, I've spent 1 hour talking about exactly this, and 3 of our case studies in our past webinar. You can find it in our YouTube channel if you're interested to watch that, because I don't have the space to go into detail, because this is Oliver's time to shine. I'll just say that I spoke about one project where we helped the client sell more of high-end products. The second case study was about increasing sales of online sales of travel insurance through a direct email campaign, and the third was increasing response to a job ad, just by using principles from behavioral economics with amazing results. So this is kind of a brief introduction into behavioral science. You know, behavioral economics or behavioral science maps all kinds of principles on which our mind operates. And Oliver, I think, uses the same principles I said before in a different setup. So Oliver, the floor is yours. I'm very much looking forward to what you'll tell us, and looking forward.
Awesome. So I'm going to play the presentation now, so you should be able to see it. And if not, please, Matej, shout out to me. So yeah, so in my piece, I would try to give you tips and tricks and to provide some understanding of how you can create engagement with your audiences or target audience through gamification. So yeah, we try to do similar things as Matej's MINDWORX is trying to do, but with, of course, gamification. And as it happens, I'm happen to be the head of Luducrafts, so we are the studio that is specialized in gamification. Now, this is the typical bragging slide, but I am bringing it for a different purpose. The main purpose is to show you that the gamification really can be used in a very different field, from small NGOs that are trying to raise awareness to something, to, let's say, conservative type of companies like fintech or finance or energy sector, etc., etc. So when it comes to using gamification, it really is about what are you trying to solve and not really what part of industry you are in. You can use gamification in a very different different fields. So if you have been on the internet past few years, you probably came across gamification, whether you have been aware of it or not. So maybe it's wise to get a clear picture about why we are taking lessons from game design and using it in, let's say, product design or marketing campaigns. And I always try to start the discussion about gamification by looking at these pictures. And they have been taken by talented Mr. Philip Toledano. And I love them because they are taking a moments of players enjoying their game. And if you are looking into this type of emotions, it's really hard to tell what exactly is going on within their heads. But I think we can agree that these people are really committed, really focused, and I would say engaged. And when it comes to engagement, I think it's some kind of a really the holy grail of today's communication. We all would like to have engaged audience or customers. So as it happens, the fact that the people are enjoying games and that they are willing to spend many hours and invest lots of energy into the games is not done by some happy accident. The games are, of course, designed, and they are a quite complex design systems. But that's a good news, because since these experiences are designed, maybe we can deconstruct these experiences and use these techniques maybe elsewhere. And that's basically the definition of gamification. If games are designed, can we maybe apply these principles in order to create better UX? Or maybe we want to acquire new habits or help someone to improve their healthy lifestyle, or maybe be more effective in onboarding our users to the application, or colleagues to companies, or we want to improve the customer loyalty, or addressing the pollution. So you can subsidize any kind of a real life challenge and use it as a starting point of how the game design principles can maybe help us. So I always try to emphasize that the gamification is a design principle. So it's not just the toolbox that you need to open and pick up a few methods that you want to use, like points or leaderboards. Since it's a design principle, you always have to start with a clear defined problem. And from public point of view, your challenge or your problem could be, for instance, I want to improve a waste recycling in my hometown. So the result can be you can just turn the ordinary trash can into the gaming arcade. In this particular case, you just need to throw the bottle into the right hole, and you earn the points, and you can even earn the highest rank. And so, of course, this is not a really complex game, but it borrows the sense of playfulness, the sense of challenging you as a player into the test your abilities, and quite cleverly nudged you into some kind of a behavior. And while, of course, we cannot multiply these trash cans all over to the city, it's a good inspiration to show you what can applying playfulness or a gamification techniques into the ordinary and even physical space can do. Because I can guarantee you, if you have one of these trash cans in your area, it would be really hard to find a bottle strolling on the sidewalk, because you have the urge to throw it into this machine. Of course, this was a slightly different area from the sales point of view, or from the company point of view. Your challenge might be that you want to increase sales or drive your customer loyalty. And here comes the thing that many of you may probably stumble upon in your past. this is one of the oldest tricks in the book, really. It's the basic loyalty card that you can get in your local coffee shops, and the rules are simple. Just collect the stamps, and if you collect enough of them, here is the free coffee. So it's not really a game, but it still borrows some of the game design techniques. Like they will show you the clear path how you can acquire some reward. You know the rules. You just need to buy some coffee, and you can track your progress. And of course, these similar mechanics have been in marketing and sales for a really long time. And the complexity of gamification should not stop here. Actually, you can do much more with gamification, and sometimes you can do a really complex things. So to give you the idea of the other end of the spectrum, this is a game that is designed specifically for young patients with ADHD. And this game was actually approved by FDA to serve as an official treatment for this illness. So you can do a really amazing things with the power of game design. Games have been, of course, here for a very long time. So why gamification now? Why do we tend to apply gamification in the past years? And the short answer is that I believe, from my experience, that we found ourselves in the world with a very particular set of needs. These needs are the need for recognition, for social acceptance, for instant feedback. And as it turns out, games do these things very well. They hook us basically on the notion that through games, you can become a better person. You can experience something extraordinary, and you can get it with a nice, rich feedback all the way through. So here are my 5 principles that, from my point of view and my experience, are the main ingredients of the secret sauce that the gamification design is using in order to tackle your users and customers. So as there are many examples of gamification, these are some of the common principles. First principle is gamification is always trying to apply to your intrinsic motivation. And that being said, often you might see that gamification is trying to nudge you with the badges, or you can earn points by doing a certain action. But the underlying narrative of the gamification always should be focused on things that really matters to you from your intrinsic point of view. And you can reward people, of course, with the external rewards like discounts or special offers, etc. But when it comes to applying to their intrinsic motivation, you can boil it down basically into the three senses. And the first is the feeling of mastery. If gamification shows you that through interaction with this gamification, you can achieve some kind of a mastery, or that you can provide some higher purpose to you or to your community and earn some positive status. These are the things that matters to us as a human beings quite a lot. Actually, there is a psychological theory called self-determination theory that deals with these phenomena in a great depth. So if you are interested in this in a much more detail, then feel free to dig into the self-determination theory. Now, the second principle is that games are really great by providing you the sense of autonomy and control. Now, I think last year and the whole pandemic shows us how much we crave to be in control. And I think we can agree that the COVID-19 really throw the sense of autonomy and control over our lives over the board. And if your product, if your communication, if your marketing campaign can evoke the sense of control, you have a really good chance to have people stuck with your product, because this is a crucial need that is currently missing in our lives. So anything that really offers you the sense of control and the sense of autonomy will make your audience and users feel much more satisfied. The third principle is gamification offers you the constant and instant feedback. So this is the principle that manifests in the points, in the badges, in the pop-up windows, and you have to be extra careful of how you actually deploy these mechanics. But we as a human beings really love to have instant feedback, and I think our society really quite become addicted to the feedback. You can run a quick test, just post something on the Instagram or LinkedIn or any of your favorite platform, and wait like 15 minutes without checking how your post is doing. And if you check in after the 15 minutes and you see that no one is really reacting to your post, it might be wise to explore your feelings about this. Chances are you would be quite anxious, and that's, from my point of view, that's the proof that we as a humans love when we have the feedback, and we hate when we expect the feedback and we don't get the feedback. So gamification often tries to provide you as many feedback, as many encouragement message as possible. What they do in gamification is they are trying to trick you into something that we are calling a game loop, which consists from clear call to action, which basically is trying to propose you something that really attracts your intrinsic motivation, like do this and acquire a good positive social status. The next step should be that we want to challenge somehow your skills, so you need to invest something into the action, so you get the sense that you really earned the reward, because by overcoming some type of obstacle, you get the notion that you actually reward something. You can see it in a different different examples of sales tactics. If you just throw away some kind of discounts to people, they tend not to perceive it as valuable as if you gave them these discounts as a kind of a reward that has this limited aspect to it attached. And the last but not least is the sense of safety. In games, you are able to step out of your comfort zone or trying a different strategy that is miles away of our typical consumer behavior. And it's because you know that you are in the game, so nothing wrong can happen to you, and even if so, it doesn't affect the real life. So if you want your customers to actually step out of their comfort zone and try new things, then perhaps providing the optics of, hey, let's just try this playful, this game experience, they're much more likely to step out from their comfort zone and try new things. And I think the one of the overarching principle is that good gamification provides you the sense of growth, and it shows you clear way how you can achieve greatness. And I will show you two case studies. One is a gamified campaign, and the second is a product that really incorporated gamification right into its core. So the gamified campaign is a campaign that is currently running in Slovakia, which we are from, and it has been built for Svet Zdravia, which is a network of hospitals, which is currently building the largest hospital in Slovakia, which is still under the construction. And what the campaign is aimed for is two particular goals. The first is they are trying to attract the doctor and the nurses and any other professionals to basically apply for a job in this particular hospital. And the second target is to provide as much information about this hospital to the public as possible. And of course, if you are building a new hospital, which should be the next generation hospital, you need to communicate lots of information of different kinds. And especially when you are a doctor or a nurse and you are trying to figure out if this could be a wise career move for you, you need to be damn sure that you will not making any type of mistake. And if you are targeted with ads that are saying, come join us to the next generation hospital, there is a chance that you will be actually a little anxious because you have your career, you have your old quirks and habits that you like on your present job. So you might not be quite sure if this one is good for you. And I think this is a similar thought process with any kind of a product and service that you are trying to convert people to. So what this campaign is doing is that they prepared an interactive stories in which you can actually choose the type of profession you want to play. You can choose between the doctors and the nurses. And when you actually start to playing the game, you see that you need to solve a different type of scenarios, and you have a chance to try out how you shall deal with the clients, what are the good choices, what are the bad choices. You came across a different type of innovation techniques and tools that the future hospital will use on the daily basis. And all this you can experience from the safety of your mobile phone, and you can experience it within 5 or 6 minutes because that's how one of the scenario is approximately long. And once you finish the scenario, the campaign really rewards you with a good social status and provide you a rich feedback. So as you can see on the screenshot, I'm sorry for our non-Slovak speaking friends, but the copy isn't that crucial. The idea is that once you finish the storyline, we recognize your talent by showing you appropriate badges. So if you show some kind of empathy, if you show some kind of respect to the patients and to your colleagues, we will visualize it and manifest your skills and your attitudes through the badges. So basically, what you receive is a helpful pat on your back that says, "Hey, you can do this. You might be a good cultural fit for our future hospital, and here are the innovations that you already laid hands on and managed to handle very well." So on a very short platform, this campaign is able to sell you the idea of the new hospital. You can assess whether you are a cultural fit before making any decision of applying for the job. You can be sure that you received the experience of actually working there without stepping out of your comfort zone. So when it comes to what kind of mechanics has been used, you can see that there is a heavy storytelling aspect because we wanted players to actually relive the actual experience of the new hospital. You as a player are encouraged to explore all of the possibilities of the hospital. And it's fun because you can do actually meaningful choices. You can either tell the patients to go F themselves, or you can actually help them. And by exploring these choices, by seeing the consequences, it's always engaging and fun for players to choose the different attitudes and to find out what's okay and what's not okay in this particular environment. So what players do, they're trying new things, they're solving conflicts, they receive positive surprises, and they get the positive status of people who actually are trying to behave in a way that is fitting the modern healthcare standards. And from the business point of view, we are trying to removing uncertainty, and we are trying to build the sense of belonging, because you already proved to yourself that you could be a good fit into the hospital. So that was the Gamified campaign. The idea of the campaign was play this game, be encouraged, and apply for the job. And if you are the general public, play this game, explore the possibilities, explore how we are different from the other hospitals in the country, and understand our benefits in a playful way. How to approach gamification if you are gamifying the product itself. This is an example from Canada, and it's an mobile app under the brand of Onlia, which is an insurance company. And the idea is that basically you download this app and use it as your day-to-day navigation app for your commuting in your car, or if you are planning trips. But the overall narrative of the application is that this app actually makes you drive safer. And the road safety is a huge topic, I think, all over the world. And what this app does is it allows you to do your daily routine, but after each ride, it shows you your safety score, and it shows you the trips. It shows you the tips how you can improve. And by tracking various aspects of your driving behavior, such as cornering or braking or speeding, it can really guide you and show you where you can improve. And so from the gamification point of view, you can see that there are some interesting challenges that you can do. You can see how you are improving on the daily basis. You can get recognized by your attitude through badges that can be visible to the community of other drivers. And there is a huge aspect of the community. And you can see that just by just using this app, basically you are becoming a better human being, and you are trying to make the world a safer place without actually making a huge investment, because you have to drive your car, and just incorporate this app to your daily routine provides this extra layer of good feeling about yourself. And of course, the app is trying to nudge you with the social acceptance and the social proof of look how many people are trying to do the same thing, and look how successful we already are. So it's really intriguing to be part of this community. And so this particular case is trying to approach gamification slightly differently. So while the campaign is basically something that we as designers tend to look at it in a way of it's a game that you will play, the message will be delivered, and basically it's fine if the players don't return because we managed to deliver the message. Of course, if you have a gamified product, then you need a slightly different approach. So in this case, you have a quick challenges that can be deployed at any day, and can be basically an infinite game session for you. You of course need to provide a rich feedback, so the players need to know how they are becoming better and better at the game. So in this case, they are using the badges, the progress bars, leaderboards, etc. So what it's quite important is that the players are getting the daily dose of their dopamine. And by earning the recognition that you are a safe driver is something that is so obvious in real life that no one really tells you this. I don't know how many times your colleague or friend that you have shared ride with has actually give you the feedback, oh, that was a nice ride. I think it might happen, of course, but it's not that kind of a behavior that you would receive every day. And yet, if you receive such a feedback, it makes you feel good. So, and I think it's a witty way how to keep users interested in our products and in our services. If by using these products, you are rewarding them with the sense of you are a smart guy, you are a good citizen, and basically overall a solid human being. So that's what the players get from using this application. And what I think is one of the key aspects of successful gamifications is that they are trying to sneak into your daily routine, and they are not trying to really change it. They are not trying to be perceived as something additional. They're just trying to make it an enriched experience. So in this particular case, it's not about additional way of how you need to treat your driving. You still need to sit in the car, but just using this app, suddenly it's a whole lot of different experience. So by looking at these case studies, I'm wondering if you were able to spot how the gamification used in these cases was trying to apply to the internal motivation. In the hospital case study, you could see that we were trying to apply the sense of being a good doctor, being a good nurse, and be part of this new hospital that is trying to provide the top-notch customer care. In case of the Onlia app, it was really about the higher purpose of making the roads safer place. The instant feedback in both case studies was present, but with a slightly different techniques. In the gamification of in the gamified campaign, you could see that the instant feedback came from the results of the storyline, from the reactions of the patients. In the Onlia app, the instant feedback is really tied to the whole functionality of the app. So you would get pop-up windows and progress bars and the badges, etc. In each case, you would see the opportunity for growth. It was really obvious in the Onlia app that it really shows you, hey, here's your score, here is the tip, what can you do better next time? So you don't really leave the space of uncertainty within the players. And of course, it's really up to you. If you want to play this game, you can still enjoy the navigation without even bothering to look at the dashboard with your scores. And of course, in the campaign case study, you can skip the stories. You can just read the static texts on the page. So it's not really forced upon you. And the safety is, of course, the Only app is all about the safety, of course. But it's you can see that if the app is actually telling you that you are speeding, it's not really about to giving you a ticket, but it's a gently a reminder of maybe you should be more careful about that. And in the hospital case study, of course, if you are being rude to the patient, then of course it's not a real life scenario, but it might give you a useful feedback that it's not really a way of how we want to treat our patients here. So my suggestion is, and my wish is, of course, there is a lot of different game mechanics and game dynamics and tools that you can use. Many times, and maybe in the discussion we will come about this, many times people are asking about how to pick and what kind of techniques you can actually use. And I would say the most useful thing is to take these 5 principles and try to look through the lenses of these principles, and trying to see how we are applying to the internal motivation through within our campaign. And once you identify what are the opportunities to improvement, then you can actually try to look on the concrete game design tools and methods. And if you are interested about how to identify these methods, then we can discuss it later on. The final advice is, remember, this is a design approach, so it's always have to be human-centered design, tailor-made, because it's not really a toolbox that you can say we just add some kind of a point system, or we will just show the leaderboard of the most active players, because it might be that these tools can be useful, or elements can be useful in an online app as such is the only a case, but would be useless in the gamified campaign for the hospital. So you always have to be aware of who is your target audience, what's the platform that you are trying to use gamification in, and it's really about trial and error approach, and don't be afraid to try a different path to see what works for you for the best. So that has been my part. I hope there will be. I have the full screen presentation, so I hope when I turn this off, there will be still some folks, and I see 190 people. So that's a good result, I would say.
Well, it's all my colleagues, my family, and friends. So yes, definitely good job there. No, Oliver, thanks a lot for the presentation. I think it was very interesting. And my first question to you is has to do with the slide, not this one that we see right at the moment, but the previous one. What I always tell to my customers, to my audience in the webinars, conferences, workshops, is that behavioral economics is not just a set of tools. It is first and foremost mindset. It's about behavioral mindset, how you perceive customers or people in general, how you approach changing their behavior. Is it? Can we say it is also some kind of gamification mindset that you have to have in order to be successful in a gamification?
Yeah, well, I would say it's really similar case, and I think it's useful to look on it as a design thinking methodology, because I really try to emphasize that gamification is design thinking in which you are using game design elements. So it really is about have your users at the center of things, outline their needs as a first thing, and then try to meet their requirements with your product or with the campaign. So I would say it's really about the mindset, but I would say it's really about the design thinking. But of course, the gamification mindset is that how we might improve this existing user experiences in order to make it more engaging. And I'm trying to avoid the word fun, because good gamification don't necessarily need to be fun in terms of haha. It can be really serious, but it can really smoothen your user experience by using some of the techniques. So, yeah.
Because as I was listening to you, I see a lot of parallels with what we do in our behavioral consulting. And the first thing I want to try to do now, very briefly, is basically to put marketing labels on what you have been saying up until now. As I was listening to you, there's a lot of definitely a lot of product design where you can or you should think about the gamification and how to apply. I also think there is a lot a lot of potential for gamification in, I would say, conversions or uptake. When I think about the doctor's case, it is basically using gamification to to convert doctors into employees, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. And I think it's great opportunity to give users and your consumers the clarity. The conversion through gamification can be quite efficient because you can get users some additional value because they enjoy some kind of experience. They tied it with your brand. You can build basically a trust between your brand and the consumers, because you allow them to enjoy something without making any purchase, without any strings attached. So I think, in communication wise, it's a field of a great opportunity from my point of view to really attract the users and to build a trustworthy relationship between each other, because that's something that works on our projects, and I think it works particularly on me from my own experience, that if I come across something that really allows me to enjoy something without really taking an email address from me immediately or anything like that, it's much better perceived than otherwise.
And I especially loved how you talked about basically the safety. And I don't mean the road safety, but creating a safe environment for people, because this is, I'm thinking of all that you've been saying up till now, in terms of the words and terms that we use in behavioral science or in behavioral economics. And what we call it is removing uncertainty. Because this is, in my experience, the very thing that is so often omitted in each and every communication, in each and every effort to convince someone to buy, to register, to do anything at all. We always have a tendency to focus on motivation. And I guess it might also be so in your cases, or when people think about gamification. Let's use gamification to motivate people to do something, but very often they forget that changing someone's behavior has this second, so very often much more important aspect of removing friction. And one of the greatest friction causes of friction is uncertainty. Whenever I'm unsure of something, I'd rather give up, I postpone the decision, and I quit. And this is, I think, an amazing example how by engaging people in a game, you can answer their concerns, their questions, and thus remove uncertainty so that the path to conversion is better. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it tackles an additional aspect, that is a fairness of these interventions and of these techniques, because and I think that you have to come across from the BE perspective, is where do you want to draw the line between the ethical design and something that is plainly abusive design. And sadly, in gamification, the line is maybe even thinner, and we have to be aware of it, because the typical slot machines mechanics are tend to still pop up from time to time on the internet, and we know that this design works because this design is abusive. And I think it's really important to talk about these things, and I think behavioral economy is in the same field. Is it's fine to remove friction, it's fine to remove uncertainty, but we have to be aware that we are not end up with manipulating the audience into something else. But I totally agree that by offering a safe space in which you can test your opinions or test your attitudes towards the product, towards the service, is a great way how to provide the safe space and as you mentioned, remove the friction and remove the uncertainty.
By the way, guys, let us know once again in the chat window if you would be interested in a discussion about the ethics of gamification, especially in product design. Where is that fine line that Oliver is talking about? And I'd be more than happy to ask some other behavioral experts from around the world to join in the discussion and to talk about ethics. What I would like to do now is to draw a couple of parallels between what you were saying and the behavioral principles which we work with so very often. So the first and the very important is this uncertainty. This is like at the forefront of everything we do. In my last webinar, I presented a case study where we achieved a threefold increase in conversions just by removing uncertainties from a direct email. What resonated with me was also autonomy and control that you mentioned at the beginning of your presentation, because this is again something which is very often used, but in different terms in behavioral economics, and when it comes to selling or persuading, for example. Sam Tatum is one of the big names of behavioral economics, one of the speakers in the online masterclass that we created and launched last year. I'll say a few words about that later on. He talks about the principle, but you're free to choose. And what he's saying is that it has shown in many studies and experiments that once you give people the explicit choice, or you end your pitch with "but you're free to choose," they're much more likely to convert, because they somehow get the feeling of autonomy and control. People hate to be cornered into a decision, and we must have the feeling of control of the situation, and we're more likely to remain and to actually convert. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but again, it's funny. I totally agree. But still, you see in many presentation, by the end of the pitch, you have these 4 options, and I can guarantee you that there is the one that we want the client to be nudged to take the one. So again, it's related to the discussion about the ethical design and the dilemmas, because is this still okay or it's not okay? If we say it's up to you, it's your choice, it's your autonomy, but again, we are trying to nudge them anyway into the preferred option. That's quite interesting topic to discuss. But I totally agree. If the users and if the buyers don't have the sense of autonomy in the persuasive process or the selling process, it's not really a good sign, and it's about to the short-term success only. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the you always try to persuade someone to do something.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some kind of goal, but I guess this is like I'll be curious to to go through the answers that people are giving us, if they would be interested in such a discussion. If so, I'm inviting you to join me to discuss the ethics of all of this. But also, what was resonated was feedback, because feedback is another principle which maybe in different terms is used in behavioral economics. And once again, if I go in the marketing and sales realm, in say the simplest thing, online shopping, and from the moment you're choosing something to the moment you check out and finish the payment, you go through a process. And it has proven over and over and over again that the way you design this process and the way how you give feedback And this is the same feedback actually, and the underlying psychology is exactly the same. It's just used in the setting that you presented in order to motivate people to go on and to remain. And it's used in an online shop to get people to finish their purchase. But at the end of the day, it's again the same psychology at in the background, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we love to know where we stand. We love to know what's happening around us, and uh, any type of feedback really lower the anxiety that we have. And you can see it basically anywhere. And I love these type of behavior nudges. Let's say you can see it in the post office or in certain type of food stores in which you tend to stand in line. Just the notion of what's the average time before you will arrive to cashier is so soothing for you. Or I love when they installed in Bratislava back in the days the counter of when the next bus will arrive. And I love it because you don't hold any control of the situation. You can't make the bus go faster, but just the notion that you can see how far the bus is was oddly satisfying, and you are not feeling that anxious just waiting on the bus stop anxious. So yeah, any kind of feedback, if you are able to push it to your process and products, that's great.
Absolutely, and this is another great example of removing uncertainty, actually,
Yeah.
which is, I think, the central principle in a customer experience. And here again, we're touching a different aspect of marketing. But so that we get to your questions, guys, there's one or two things I wanted to tell you before we go to the Q&A session. And what I wanted to tell you is that, as I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, last year we got together with really some of the biggest names from the behavioral world, and we created this online masterclass on behavioral economics and psychology in marketing with Rory Sutherland, with Sam Tatum as co-instructors. And we've actually prepared a small gift for everybody, or all of you who have attended this webinar. And let me just walk you through what we would like to give you. Basically, this is what people kept telling us what they learned in the masterclass. And it's basically three things. They now understand why their copies funnels are not performing. They understand why all their efforts were not performing. They're able to come up with better ideas which perform much better, and their colleagues turn to them for advice when they're stuck, because they became some kind of consumer psychology experts in their teams. Now, it is 7.5 hours of video lectures, around 400 pages of ebooks, 60 plus case studies, and a certificate at the end. And this is the kind of feedback that makes us go ahead and makes us really, really smile when people tell us that this is the best thing that they have seen out there on the topic of behavioral economics. I keep getting a lot of feedback, a lot of connection requests on LinkedIn after people have taken the masterclass. They seem to like it. There is nearly 2,000 students enrolled by now, 4.6 rating. And the gift we have prepared for you is this. Actually, we thought that, as the second wave of COVID-19 hit, that we would make the masterclass more available to people around the world. So we lowered the price by half. And on top of that, from now for 24 hours, you get an additional 15% off with the code 15 off MWA. tomorrow there will be only 10% off, and the day after tomorrow only 5% off. So you can get quite a hefty discount on the masterclass, 50 plus 15. I hope you enjoy it, and this is basically the end of my sales pitch, and I want to come back to Oliver and to I'm laughing because I see a comment. It was the best class I've ever taken, and it's none of my colleagues, surprisingly. Well, this is the end of my sales pitch. Give it a shot, and before we go to the Q&A session, I have a question for all of you. Over the last couple of years, I think we've managed to and got to understand what people are after, especially those interested in behavioral economics. And we have understood that what you guys are all really missing are the practical applications of behavioral economics, behavioral science in business. Because in my opinion, and in my experience, in your experience, I suppose, when you started Googling behavioral economics, you all the time stumble across the same examples, which are not business examples. And that's why we decided to raise some money for a new project, and we're launching it in May. It will be called InsideBE.com. And think of it as Harvard Business Review and Coursera of behavioral economics in business, where all the content will be created by the best minds out there. And we've reached out to so many of them, and they're excited about the project. They want to share their business case studies with you. And my question to you is, what would you be interested to read about, to hear about? What topics are interesting for you? And please don't write it in the chat window, write it in the comments section. And we'll come back to that, and we'll try to incorporate it in the editorial plan for the first months. And we want to make it for you. We want to make it as interesting for you as possible and bring you the content that you're missing. And some of the content will definitely also be about gamification and behavioral economics and all the underlying psychology. So now I would officially start the Q&A session. Please ask Oliver or me if you want to hear from me, but especially Oliver, any questions you want to ask him. I saw one question, Oliver, and it was about the name of the game you presented among the examples at the beginning. This game for kids. How can people find it and learn more about it?
Yeah, I would suggest that the game is called MINDWORX, and I would write it down perhaps, or maybe left the link on our official, or I suggest you will do some kind of a follow-up. But the game is called the Endeavor. It's ENDEAVOURX, and I think they have the official page, so you can definitely Google it. And yeah. So.
Okay, so please write the questions in the chat window so that we can see it and answer. Oliver, my question is, what is like the project which is closest to your heart? The thing that you're most proud of?
Oh well, that's always a tough question, and it really sounds like cliche to say that there are so many, but to be honest, I really can't. I tried to, because spoiler alert, you told me that you would ask this question, and I tried to think of some. But what I would say is one of my favorites is the game. It's a humble game. It has been created through our internal hackathon, and it's a game that teaches kids how the conspiracy theories are spread, and what you can do to identify them and to be more resilient to the bullshit arguments that often these conspiracy theories are using. And so really it's a simple card game in which you are playing as a conspiracy theorist, and you are trying to convince other players why your theory is the only one that is true. So it's not really a business heavy case, but from my personal perspective, is something that I am proud of and I like it. And of course, I love many of our projects that really tend to help people and have a real life consequences. So for instance, we have done lots of onboarding programs to companies, and to seeing a feedback from people that say that like thanks to our design, they were feeling embraced, they were feeling like treated like human beings. That's really nice to hear and read, and makes you wake up every morning from the bed.
And okay, so I carry on with this kind of questions. So not necessarily your project, but is there something when I say a nice example of gamification in business which pops up, or a couple of examples, something that you have not done but which was done somewhere by someone?
Yeah, so I really enjoy the concept of Zombies Run, which is an app that you can use in terms of instead of your ordinary running app like Nike Club or Strava. And the trick is that as you run, you hurt the zombies that are chasing you, and if you are running too slow, they are able to eat you alive. If you are running fast, you can outrun them. And I love it because it really changes the experience of the running, and which I think for many who are trying to start with this exercise, it's really hard to get. And in a way of keeping the retention of your users, keeping the users more active is a great example of how you can change the otherwise completely different product into something else and still get the results you want. But of course, from the lighter gamification, I really like the ways how they are done their job. For those of you who might not be familiar with the ways, it's an app that allows you to navigate through the cities, and it collects the user generated data, so it can tell you here are the secret police hidden, or here's a pothole, any kind of quite specific data that, let's say, Google Maps are hard to pick because it's easier for humans to actually upload this data. And the gamification in Waze is so subtle, but it's really good at their job because it allows you to feel the sense of a good social status, and it really makes you want to actually upload and use this app in a more active way. So Waze is another great example.
Okay, and we have a couple of questions here. One question from Blažej: any examples of a gamified website?
Yeah, so gamified website is a huge territory, and sometimes you have a websites that are gamified in a way. You are browsing, and then suddenly you have a pop-up that, hey, if you leave the email, we will get you 150 points, and we have a special discount for you if you earned 1,000 points or something like that. Of course, this type of gamification we have seen in the past few years, and especially back in the days like 2014, there has been a lot of these plugins. But I like how some of the e-shops are handling the gamification. I think I think Martinus is one of the examples. Martinus is an e-commerce, or mainly e-commerce, bookstore in Slovakia, and they have a really nice, playful aesthetics built around their website. They have your user profile, which reflects your taste, which reflects your preferences, and it really build an relationships between you and the site and the brand. So I would say it's a definitely nice example. And what else? Well, then you have the campaign specific gamification types. But I like the web which is called Will Robots Steal My Job.org. And it's not really gamified in a way of pure playful experience, but it's really nice that it poses a clear call to action, and it provides an clear, nice, direct feedback to you, and basically tells you that if you are an accountant, then there is a, let's say, 57% chance that robot in near future will take your job. It's not really a fun experience, but it's really a nice way how to incorporate it. Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead, please. And then I have another question.
No, that's just me rambling around. So go ahead.
Someone else is asking about examples of gamification in education, public sector, and safety.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, no, sorry, I've been reading it wrong. Educating public about safety.
Yeah. So actually, here are several ideas that I have seen, and some of them are really close more to the behavioral economics side of things. You might remember the viral video that I think it was in Stockholm actually, that they changed one of the staircases in the subway station into their actual piano staircase. And what I think is really nice that they just nudge people to use the stairs instead of the elevators or instead of the lifts. And it's a nice way of how change behavior in a playful way without even thinking of, oh, maybe I should use the stairs more often. Just by providing a playful alternative that is more attractive to you, you are doing exactly what you wanted to do without even thinking of it. So that's one example. The second is that
about your opinion, because in my opinion, these are nice examples of nudging people towards the desired behavior. But then the question is it sustainable? If I use the same staircase over and over and over again, I won't give a damn about the painting on the staircase after the 5th time. So the question is, and what is your take in these repetitive situations? How to make change persist?
Yeah. So this is actually a huge topic because we are talking about how to make more sustainable habits, how to keep ourselves motivated for a long time, and that's hard. You actually usually needs to have a supportive platform that actually is communicating to you your overall progress. So of course, hopping on the staircase, and I shout out to Ali Reza to show in the comment section. It was the piano staircase from Fun Theory. So of course, a one-time playful activity is nice for the aha moment. But to keep you interested and to keep you motivated, you definitely need to show people some higher long-term goal that they are trying to achieve, and to show them through the sense of feedback how they are progressing towards the goal, and give you the tips of how you can progress towards the goal more quicker and by more efficient ways. So you might see it in a apps like Strava or any kind of a fitness app that are trying to tell you, okay, if you want to lose weight, here it's useful to set up your own goal that you decided that if you want to lose 5 kilos or 10 kilos, and based on that, they are trying to tailor-made the exercise program, so you can see how many days you need to streak in a row to actually achieve this aspect. And so they basically are trying to remove the uncertainty to give you a clear path to success. But of course, you need to see it as a clear path to success. You need to see what's behind the horizon. So usually, it's necessary to have some kind of additional platform in which you can see and receive the feedback in order to build some sustainable habit change. Yeah.
And eventually, probably for sustainable change, things like that must become habits.
Exactly.
Routines, which if we go deep enough is not the same thing, habit and routine.
Yeah.
But here we have another question. This is a funny one. How hard is it to incorporate gamification into an exciting app? For example, a delivery app.
Yeah. So it really boils down to the previous debate about the design thinking process. You have to understand what are you trying to achieve with the gamification, whether it is to use the app in order to sorry, once again, if you want the app to be the dominant app for delivery in your town, or do you want users to actually register to the application, or if you want to keep their data more up to date. So you have to really pinpoint what should be the result of gamification from the business point of view. And after that, you have to draw basically the user journey and to map what are the people actually doing within your application, and what are the pain points that you are able to spot on. And it's really interesting to talk to the actual users to find out what they are missing in the application. And sometimes you understand and you find out that there are some UX issues that you need to address first, and gamification can help you with that, because maybe, and I think Matej mentioned it before, maybe it's the uncertainty of the whole delivery process. Let's say you might find out that I am not sure if my package is lost because I couldn't track my number. So you can really satisfy or address these concerns by displaying a clear progress bar, etc. Maybe you want to nudge them in order to keep their addresses up to date, and then you can reward them with a badge that say trustworthy customer and tied some kind of a benefit into it. Or maybe you want to just convert people to the application. That's slightly different angle. So it's not that hard if you can do this homework in order to find out what are the pain points that you want to address and have a clear vision of how you want to gamification to help you. So, and of course, if you have your internal development team, then it's about to actually get buy-in from your devs, so they are willing to work on it. But it's actually we have done several product designs of gamification in which the app was actually out there, so it's doable, but you need to have a strong UX foundation in order to pull it off.
Mm-hmm. And just to stress out that, it sounds quite simple, but we've been in discussions just in spring when COVID hit, with the biggest telco operators. You remember, Oliver, and
Yeah.
they have a huge internal team, and they're not able to actually do it because it sounds really simple, but there, if you want to do it right, there's a reason why people like Oliver exist, besides doing webinars, of course. I guess it's not that easy. I think you can start by yourself, but you risk not approaching it from the right angle. And guys, I've just found out that there's actually no comment section. So please write what you're interested in when it comes to articles, topics for Inside B in the chat window. Sorry about that. I've just learned there is no comment section while the video is live. And here we have one last question, Oliver. And that is, do you know any gamification apps, plugins that boost engagement on social media and increase conversions on landing pages?
Let me think. There has been some back in the days, but I don't have any personal experiences with it because, firstly, it depends on what kind of social media you are trying to implement it. Because sometimes you want to use social media as a part of the game, and you can see it in examples of, if you share this, you will get a point and can compete with others. And there are tons of plugins like that. But to have something that is directly incorporated into social media, I am not quite aware of some, because I think the Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are keeping their cards quite close. And as for the landing pages, I think, and that's my recommendation, I wouldn't really go for but that's just my personal opinion. I wouldn't go for the generic plugins for landing pages, because I think you really need to tie the gamification into the topic and the narrative and the brand itself. So I would suggest it's nice to have some kind of a playful element, some kind of nice gamified hook that let people to perceive that you are doing things slightly differently. But I would always go down to the custom-made solutions because it really makes a difference. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Oliver. Last question for you: where can people reach you?
Yeah, so usually I'm in the corner of my hometown street.
And maybe we can share also the last slide of your presentation with your contact details, and
Yeah.
then tell us about where you live.
Yeah, so I live in a charming city of Bratislava, but I think that's not really of interest of you. So you can reach me basically on LinkedIn. I'm most active there. And yeah, so but you can always reach me directly on the email, oliver@luducrafts.com. Of course, we have a web page which I forgot to place here because I'm a terrible salesman. But our web page is luducrafts.com, and you are more than welcome to join and connect with me on the LinkedIn. And yeah. And I would be more than happy to answer all your questions. If you have them, then feel free to write me an email or reach me on LinkedIn. And yeah, we're very much looking forward to it.
Oliver, thanks a lot. We'll do the sales for you. So we'll include your contact details, your LinkedIn, and also your website in the emails which will follow this webinar for the registered people. So
you have been always the better salesman than me.
Well, you're smarter and I'm a better salesman. I think we're a good combination. Thanks a lot for being here with us. Thanks a lot for the amazing presentation, for sharing the insights, for answering the questions. And I'm very much looking forward to discussing maybe the topic of ethics at some point in the future. So thanks a lot. Thanks to everybody who was connected. Have a great evening, and Oliver, talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take
Cheers.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.